Hello. Akwabanye, you are welcome to Auntie Lizzie's Corner. Today, we are going to continue talking and answering some of the questions that friends and family who watched the video about buying and selling the home had. Few questions came. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch, especially if you are planning about buying a home or selling a home. The first question I'm going to address is, how do you make money using the house that you bought? Buying a house is so stressful in the United States, and the paperwork to sign, you would think you are signing your life away. Now you are so stressed about this mortgage, you have all this debt on your shoulder. For 30 years, you are thinking, how am I going to afford it? Do not forget that the bank qualified you according to your paycheck, how much you get every month, right? The bank doesn't know your responsibilities. The bank doesn't know you give money to your family members when needed, right? That is where the blessing is. The bank doesn't know, but you know yourself. So you got into this house. On paper, you can afford it, but sometimes in reality, you might not be able to afford it. Are you going to have sleepless nights over the fact that you can't pay your mortgage? And if you don't pay for some time, the bank will be gladly ready to take the house back. And you don't want that, because it doesn't glorify the name of the Lord either, right? So what can you do? What ideas can you have so you can make some money? If I knew what I know now, one of the things I would have done is to buy a duplex or a house with a little back home. In Ghana, we call it boys' quarters, like mother-in-law suites, where you can rent that little place. You are in your main house. You are either renting the casitas or mother-in-law suites or boys' quarters. Renting that out and using that money to balance and reduce your mortgage. I have rented a room for a travel nurse before. There was no problem. Some will say, yes, your privacy, safety. Of course, you have to know who you are renting it for. So those are some of the ways that you'll be able to make some money. Another thing I did mention in the previous video was HELOC. And there was a lot of questions about HELOC. What HELOC is? HELOC, Home Equity Line of Credit. You can't just buy a house today and start applying for Home Equity Line of Credit or HELOC. No, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. You need to be able to build some equity on the house. If you bought the house for $100,000, and this is just a number I'm throwing out there, and you stayed in the house for 6 months, there is no way that house, well, you never know, but the house can gain equity. But how much equity is it? Is the bank willing to give you 80% of that equity that has been built on the house? Is it enough to pay for some of the closing costs? It is not just that smooth. You have to wait for some number of years and build up your equity. At least a year or so. You bought the house $100,000. Now the house is $150,000. So when we say equity, you are talking about that difference. That $50,000 difference is your equity. You are taking a loan, which is that $50,000 on it. The bank is not going to give you all that 50. Usually they'll give you between 80. I know a bank that will give you 90%. You have to be a member, you have to be in the military, all this good stuff. So usually the bank will give you between 75% and 80% of that equity that is built on the house, and that money is given to you like credit card. My bank gives you a card and you can go take out the money inside the bank or at the ATM. Some banks will give you a check so you can write it out and you can use that money and make money out of that. We are still talking about how you can make money with your home that you bought. That money can be used to buy another home and you rent it out. That money can be used to renovate your backyard and you rent it out for weddings. You can also do that. So those are some of the things that you have to look out for. We also have cash refinancing. Maybe when you bought your house, your interest was high, 8% interest. You waited patiently, interest is like 4%, and I'm just throwing it out there. You bought the house for 100,000. Now the house is 200,000. So what a cash out refinance means, you are taking a totally new loan, could be 30 years, 15 years, on this current house that you have. That 100,000 difference, you are going to take it out as cash. But don't forget, basically you are starting to pay your mortgage all over again. But you can use that money to invest into another money or start a low risk business. Don't go buying crypto with the money. Don't lose money like I did. Let it be an example. So that is just a little explanation of how you can get your HELOC out of your house to invest into something else, or get a cash refinance to reduce your interest rate, and as well as get some money. And yes, if you are in an apartment, you cannot go borrow. So you have to look at your situation and see how best it will fall in between. If you still have any questions about homes and buying or renting, you can always call Auntie Lizzie. Don't be stressed about it. Don't let the agent put pressure on you to accept any home at all. Don't let the community or the environment influence you and get something bigger that you can't afford. We have all these things just to make our life a little easy. Nobody takes it to the grave. Most important thing is doing what God wants you to do. I know a friend who lives outside where I live in another state, and she uses her house to host ministry, churches that want to start, and that is how she makes some money out of it. And the church helps. Spiritually, she gained. Physically, she's helping the church have a location, and in replacement, she gets some money as well to pay off some of her bills and her mortgage. I enjoy hosting people that I know. Sometimes you are helping someone, you take less money for mortgage or less money for the rent that the person is paying. Like the travel nurses, that is also helping putting money in your pocket. Don't be too stressed about the home. There is a reason why you have that home. I personally believe that there is always a right time to buy a house because the benefits are a lot. But at the same time, you have to make the right decision from beginning. And that is what will be very, very helpful. Until then, please subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. Share with someone so it can be a blessing to them. Let's make money together by not making little mistakes. Until then, I will see you the next video. Be blessed.